Keep It Rap, episode 9, season 2. We focus on the Midwest. So let's get right into it. Talk to me about how you came up with the name A Ward.
Well, my name is Aaron Ward. So, whenever I was first deciding what rap name I was gonna go with, when you're like a teenager, I didn't even really rap. I say a teenager. When I was like 12, 13 years old in middle school, I didn't really rap. But I would think like, I wonder if I was a rapper, what would my name be? And I remember my first one, I thought Player A, because I used to listen to Player Fly. If you're from Tennessee, you kind of know some of the. But I was like Player
Okay.
A. I'm like, but at the same time, I'm like a little 12-year-old kid. Like, why am I calling myself a player? So that was kind of like my first little like. I thought that would be my rap name. But then, all I really did was write poetry in like middle school, high school, and then write acapella punchlines. I never really started rap until I was about 20. I wrote a few raps like as a kid, but not like legit start putting out projects and different things like that. And so when I went that route, I was just like, man, like I'm just gonna use my name. I think A Ward is dope. It's also like a double in a sense, like when you read it, I was like, I think I can do a lot with this. So that's how I came up with A Ward.
That's fire. You started rapping a cappella or on beats, or you were talking about poetry? What was your
Yeah.
first introduction to rhyming?
Well, my older brother was the rapper of the family. He got about probably 8 or 9 battles out. So like he kind of taught me everything I knew. Taught me, put me under his wing, introduced me to hip hop. Um, and so I always just wanted to be like my older brother. And so I would just try to write rhymes, same way he wrote rhymes. I'd take his CDs and everything in middle school, high school, and tell all my friends he's the best rapper alive. And then in the cut, I would just be kind of writing, just different type of poetry. Like if we had school projects, I remember I did a project on volcanoes in 8th grade, and I did it to the Black Rob song, and it was like VOLCANO. Like I just
Let's
loved
go.
rhyming. I'm dead serious. Like I would always just write,
That's fire.
and then I kind of found out that I was like kind of good at this. You know what I mean? Like because when you're like living in the shadow of your brother, you don't really. And I was a hooper. I played ball. That's like what I really did well was basketball and baseball. And so I'm like, man, I'm kind of good putting these words together. And the older I got, the more I sharpened that. That's when I started realizing, wow, I am good. So I started off with poetry just because I wanted my own lane, writing poetry, slam poetry, just a cappella format of writing lyrics. Um, and then once I got out to Kansas City for college, I started working with my church. I realized how much music was heavily influenced kids. Like you can't get them to memorize a Bible verse, but they could literally quote the whole song day by day. And it's like, man, I'm gonna start making some music. Maybe like this would be a good way to communicate to them like some good. And that's when I started dropping music. But my love was always just writing punchlines, writing, lyricism, stuff like that.
That's incredible, man.
Mhm.
Listen, I want to jump right into these battles. The first one I want to get into is you versus Real Deal, Organic versus Gully. Do you remember that battle?
Oh yeah, first time I was ever like really nervous, like really nervous.
Why was you nervous?
Because it was my first like pay-per-view event and it was against Real Deal. My whole thought process going in there was like, man, remember what he did to Snow? Like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm battling Real Deal and I'm just like, the franchise battle, there was some nerves because I was performing in front of a lot of people that I had just met. Like, RIP Paste was the host, Cortez,
R.I.P. Pastor.
Charron, they're all on the stage. So I was nervous for that. But when I was going into the Real Deal battle, I was like, yo, I think this is the first battle where somebody could literally stop my career before it gets started, and it's live on pay-per-view, but I've always been pretty confident in my talent and my ability to perform. So, after the first 4 bars, I think I even started that battle off with a freestyle about Marv One's hat, and it's like, yo,
That's a fact.
if you're nervous, you weren't showing it because after the 4 bars hit, and we got into it, all that stuff leaves.
That's fire. All right. So we're going to jump right into Blackout 7, you versus DNA. I felt like this was a real strategy battle. One thing that I noticed, and I don't know if you remember this, but in DNA's segment, he flips the word mental ward in different
Hmm.
ways. And then you start your round and you flip deep end in different ways, almost exactly like he did. This was very much strategy. How did you feel about that DNA battle?
It's probably the battle I learned the most from in my early career. I felt like I won that battle, but I think that's the first battle that a lot of people, kind of had it as Edge and DNA. In the building, a lot of people told me I won. Even Rone, he was hosting the pay-per-view. Like he had me winning after the battle. I get off the stage. At this point, I'm not even that great of friends with some of these guys, but Chill's got me winning. But that's when I first realized, you can't win on paper all the time. Like I felt like everything I
Uh-huh.
wrote, schemes, lyrics, like the depth and the layers and the entendres and everything. I felt like it's way better than what DNA had. But that's when I learned, footwork in battle rap, on stage, how to walk across the stage, like when is a good time to run back a haymaker that hits, to keep the energy in the building. And he did a whole lot of that. He did a whole lot of just kind of like floating around that stage and entertaining the crowd, and I remember he had the lightning hits. I double tap like I like the pick, and he ran that mug back three or
Mm-hmm.
four times. He ran that mug back like three or four times. It's sure like in your mind as a battler, it doesn't count because you're saying the same thing. But when that crowd is just saying everything with you again and again, and that energy's there, it just helps out the next bar and the next bar, and everything hits a little bit harder, So I learned a whole lot in that battle. Shout out to DNA, man, and Real Deal both for like taking me. I think that's eighth and ninth, seventh and eighth battles of my career, And
Damn.
so I'm not even 10 battles in, not even barely a year into battle rap, and I'm already battled them on King of the Dot, and that was
And they
huge for
was
my career.
battling you like you was, you know what I mean? They was really trying to get you out of there.
Yeah, and that was a testament too to like, I remember Real Deal told me he was like, yeah, I was just gonna write and come in there and get busy. And then I filmed like a promo video where I was like walking, I coach high school basketball, so I got keys to the school. So I was like walking through the high school with a bat, and I was just like, I did this like promo video, because he's a teacher or whatever. He was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh hell no, I'm not gonna let him come in here, And so yeah, I mean they both had crazy incredible performances, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, DNA. I didn't realize at the time, that it was DNA's like first battle back on King of the Dot from the time like I guess he battled illmac and he didn't do so well. So his whole thing was like, my bad, y'all, I didn't do so well against illmac. I'm gonna give you a one performance, and you know that's kind of like the theme of my career now.
A
Is is
hundred
is
percent.
is, is everybody bringing like that A game.
That's a super fact. All right, I want to
Hmm.
jump to this next battle. A lot of people don't know. Um, A Ward versus Poe Rich actually started We the Fans as a company. And
Oh,
the
fire.
reason I say that is because before I was a sponsor, I was a broke background actor in LA. And I remember I wanted to contribute to battle rap in some kind of way. So I did a whole blog by the beach breaking down A Ward versus Poe Rich. And the title of it was We the Fans. And that's how I even came up with this whole branding thing. I really loved you versus Poe Rich. I mean, bringing back a legend like that, the PO box bars that you had, the get rich quick scheme. I, do you remember that battle, and what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, definitely. I was excited because the one thing that's good about bringing back a battler from an era in which they were very effective is making sure they're comfortable in their environment, and that goes the same as when like Solcon battled me on I Battle, Paul Rich battled me on that King of the Dot environment. Like some of these guys, they have a little ring rust or they haven't been back or they haven't been well received with their performances. And they're kind of thrown into, these big stages or in battles that just are not going to really help them get back into it. And I thought, wow, this is perfect for Poe Rich because as much as a battler and competitor I am, sure, if I go 30 somebody and they choke and they have a bad battle or whatever, like, I mean, that's cool to be like, I smoked you or whatever, but like, it's really not that cool unless it's like a crazy grudge match. You know what I mean? Like if it's like, if
100%.
I would have, if Verb would have, got in there and choked or something, I'd have been loving it, I'd have ran with it. But like, but, but when it's like somebody like Poe Rich, like, yo, you really want him to, kind of really enjoy what he used to do at a high level in his era. And so with that being in that setting or whatever, for him to come in, he still has some of the most simplest lines that I still quote to this day. The whole I'm going into the battle wishing I was battling Charron because that's what I was calling out. But for some reason, I think Jim's got Charron. Is that right? I think
Yep, Jim's
something
got
happened. Yeah.
Sharon. That's right.
He
That's
took
right.
he took Jim's instead of me. And so, when Poe Rich comes in, he's like, hey Lord, it's A Ward. I'm not getting the battles I prayed for. Like it's so silly, but it's
But it's
hilarious,
so funny. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
and it's so effective. And then, I'm able to come in and like you say, get rich quick scheme. Like I got punches, I got the versatility, the different rapping styles, and then you got like the second round when it's like, we used to walk the blackout five uphill, both ways, both days. I'm able to kind of bring some of that
Yeah,
humor, that grind time into it as
a
well.
hundred percent.
Um, Yeah, man, just really, really, really love that battle, man,
Me
and
too.
glad that Poe Rich put on. I think that's a. I always like it when there's a battler who's like got a recent battle where they can show their friends and they don't have to go back 10 years. It's like
Agreed.
it's like, hey, I used to do this, and it's like, nah, man, I hear it was 4 or 5 years ago. I got busy, so shout out to him.
That's fire. Speaking of Charron, that was literally the next person I was gonna bring up.
Mm-hmm.
That battle, World Domination 8, you versus Charron, at the time, in my opinion, I felt like that was your toughest battle. And
Mm-hmm.
just at the time, I remember you did the Charron impression that was super on point and super
Mm-hmm.
hilarious. You had the pop quiz scheme, and I want to talk to you about this. You have this way of setting up the bar in the setup, you hide the haymaker and then you deliver it by going back. When you did the Times Hero, no excuses, you remember that?
Yep, yep. So the third
How
round
did
was
you come up with that?
man, I'm always just trying to come up with random different things. There was a point in time when I was doing the "You Gonna Think It's Fire" when I run that back, but you can run some of that stuff into the ground. So I didn't want to be doing it like every battle, you know what I mean? Because then it gets predictable and then it kind of got whatever. So with Sharon, um, what I wanted to do was it's difficult to challenge how loyal he is to King of the Dot, because he's Sharon. But I'm like,
Facts.
I found like a little nuance. It's like, yo, Sharon really don't know my guy Chris Wynn like that in Arizona, who's putting on these GZ events. He don't really know, what's going on with the Michigan oh man, I'm blanking on what they used to call those events in Michigan, those GZ events. But with Esmo and how Gully would be over there putting on the GZ events. And I'm like, I'm hip to all of this because
Salute
I'm
the
like
gully.
active. Yeah, I'm active in the culture right now and I'm supporting everything that has to do with King of the Dot. So, I thought, man, start this third round with like a question and answer. Like, hey, yo, you really rock with King of the Dot. But instead of just a normal question and answer to where he doesn't answer it, you know, literally be like, yo, I use the answer in the setup as an entendre, like I gave
Genius.
you the answers, I
Genius.
even put it in your subconscious as I'm telling you the answer and you didn't know it, like,
Genius.
so yeah, so I thought that was really different, and that's really kind of like what I do. I do a lot of just very different things, man.
I agree.
I battle Ness Lee and I use Spanish words with name flips, and gave the
Facts.
definition. I gave this definition of the Spanish word in the bar. Just a lot of just random ideas that I have because I don't want to get bored with it. I don't want to always get set up punch, scheme, multi. All right, So yeah, I'm always trying to be innovative and improvise. So.
Speaking of being innovative and improvising, I want to salute you on your creativity, which is one of your incredible attributes. When you battle Ryda, you had a line where you said, "I don't have to write around to beat a right around." And a lot of people might not be familiar with this one rounder, but I think it's one of the greatest one rounders. You
Mhm.
literally freestyled a huge chunk of your round. Like, how did you even come up with all that material?
Yeah, I think that started with just like some trash talk, just back and forth, and me, maybe when you want to say it in a face off or on Twitter or something like that, bro, I don't even have to write around to be the right around. And then we use some trash talk and you're just like, you know what, that's actually a kind of a dope concept, And I told myself, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take that concept, I'm gonna try to stack as many as rebuttals as I can or freestyles as I can, and I'm just gonna repeat that concept after each, freestyle hits. I told you I don't have to ride around to be the ride around and get to the next rebuttal, get to the next freestyle or whatever. And yeah, I thought it made for a really dope start to that battle, and I took that concept and I did similar thing to Young God ATM last year, where I actually freestyled the entire first round up until the last
That's a
punchline
fact. That's a fact.
because I thought about the punchline. This is the first time I ever stood in front of ATM and didn't need a pen. I thought of that punchline, and I'm like, yo, imagine if I could actually stack like literally, because it was only like 90 seconds to 2 minute rounds. I'm like,
Facts.
that's only about six rebuttals, 6 or 7. I'm like, wow, if I can really stack that many, I can kind of take this whole round and freestyle it. And I did,
Man, you're ridiculous. Salute the young guy ATM, the pimp.
yeah.
Salute to him.
Shout out to Young Guy.
Another incredible battle that highlights your creativity, in my opinion, is you versus O Red. I'm watching the battle and y'all going back and forth. If y'all haven't seen A War versus O Red, please tap in. It's on RBE. Great battle. Bro, you rap backwards, bro. Like that's the most hip hop shit I ever seen. Like, how did you even decide to do that?
Well, so I had been, introduced to it one or two times before, way back. M City did a version of a reverse punchline, and then the 100 Bullets did a version of a reverse punchline. Um, Now one thing I always want to do is like pay homage, but then perfect it. I'm not the first person to ever rebuttal, but I want to
Facts.
be I want to be the best. When people think of rebuttaling, I want to say, yo, A Ward is consistently the best. He's probably like 10 of the best 20 rebuttals of all time. And so with reverse punchlines, I wanted to be the best. So I'm like, yo, I need every word to read perfectly backwards, and forwards. I don't want like a random conjunction or a random this or a random that, like I want you to write this thing out and it to be perfectly forward and backwards. And then I was like, how else do I make it the best? Oh, cool. Movements. Yo, let's dap up. Let's do this, let's do that. And so
Crazy.
in the background, Loso's, doing the whole thing basically at the same time I'm against red. And so I really do like writing reverse punchlines, man. They're difficult. They're very difficult. Like it's very rarely. Sometimes I can write a haymaker in 30 seconds. You can think of a name flip, and I can think of a multi and be like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy bar. I know it's gonna go
Hmm.
crazy. A reverse punchline is like it takes hours. It takes hours of
Are you
sitting down.
serious?
Yeah,
Hours?
and you just gotta not give up on it. So very rarely if I got a reverse punchline in there, just know that I started prepping at least 2 weeks ahead of the battle.
Salute. Nah, that's incredible, man. I want to talk about some of my personal favorite battles, and I want you to tell me, I'll just give you some examples, and you tell me what you remember of these battles. So the first one I want
Mhm.
to discuss is A Ward versus Ness Lee. I feel like that was such a bar fest filled with quotables. That to me, like if you're a battle rap fan and you just love watching dudes just rap their ass off, that's one of them. Do you remember your Ness Lee battle?
Yeah, most definitely. Ness Lee is one of my guys. I love Ness Lee to death. He's a part of YTG as well. Um, this is like my first battle back on King of the Dot. I think pandemic, since the pandemic and everything hit, and I think it's my first battle back since the illmac battle. Small room, LA, COVID, everything's still going on.
Yep.
And I'm battling somebody who is literally one of the best rappers in battle rap in Ness Lee. And so it's just another opportunity to battle, on King of the Dot against a legend like Ness Lee and show out. First time I ever, my brother Cannon flew out there and he bought me an outfit. The first
That's
time I ever didn't know what I was wearing until the day of the battle. So he was like, "Yo, I got you." I was like, "Word." Normally I don't trust nothing like that. Cannon always be trying to get me to wear chains and do different things, and I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. This is not me. You know, my brother is always dressed fly, and I'm never dressed fly. So he's always, but he brought me an outfit out there. He was like, "Yo, I got you this." I was like, "Oh, dope." So I think that's probably the first battle somebody else addressed me in.
That's fire. All right.
Yeah.
Next one, A Ward versus Bill Collector. This was in Philly. Hella quotables. I felt like for me, not only was it quotables, but this was the most you attacked your opponent. Hella performance. I remember at one point you were like, we sent them back wrapped in plastic and told his moms it was the collector's edition. But like,
Yeah.
yo, what was first of all, that environment is it's Philly, it's aggressive, it's like you must have. Did you watch the Philly DVD era and stuff like that? Were you a fan during the Reed Dollars and all that?
Yeah. So I tell everybody all the time, like growing up, my first, like I would say, like favorite battle rappers, was Hollow, uh, Loaded Lux, and Bill Collector. Like those were my three favorite battle rappers. Like in college, just kind of like who I would like rush to YouTube to watch if anything dropped of them. And so Bill Collector was my first time battling somebody that was a bucket list like type battler.
That's
Sure,
crazy.
sure, DNA, real deal. I watch all these guys or whatever. You know what I mean? They're great. They're incredible. They're legends.
Of
But Bill
course.
Collector was like, yo. I mean, I tweeted out yesterday, like that Big Cheese remix was my ringtone. When it came out. Like I got the burner was my ringtone. Um,
I
and
got the
so
Bible.
to
You
be,
know I got the
yeah,
Bible.
exactly. So when I'm going into battling Bill Collector, he's probably the first battler that I didn't even have to research a whole lot. You know what I mean? Because I already watched all his battles. And so I'm going into Philly. I got my guy Eshawn Burgundy with me, who's a very prominent Christian rapper and just a super talented dude. I got, my guy Fanatic with me, another guy, one of my best friends, A1 is in the building. I got family with me. We go out there early. I'm at the Phillies game. I get to see the Rocky statue. This is definitely
Fire.
still to this moment. Like this first time I've ever been to Philly. It's top 5 battle rap trips of my life to this day.
Fire.
Um, at the time too, Marv, Quest, Solomon. Solomon didn't battle, but Marvin Quest were battling on the card too. So yeah, I just got to chop it up with them, man, and get some advice and stuff. So that was just a really dope trip. And then, like I said, what you saw in those 3 rounds was you saw like the student, finally getting to battle the teacher, or the
That's
fan getting to battle
fire.
the whatever. And it's like, man, Bill Collector went crazy. Benny Siegel and Freeway were in the building. It's just
What?
it was just wild. It was just a wild time, man.
That is fire.
But a great time, a really great time. And then I really feel like those 3 rounds, like you said, were just tailored for him, super direct. And you got the triple entendre scheme in the third, which was another, man, we haven't really seen something like this before with the
At all.
BC era stuff. And so I was able to show off all the different things that I could do, entertain as well. But it was the most hypocritical looking back when I told Bill Collector that he battles every weekend, and I asked him if he was going on
And
a
you had
battling
a battle
tour.
the next day.
And, and then, literally, since that Bill Collector battle, I think I've battled every
No, that's
weekend.
so
So,
funny. You said at the end of the battle we could go battle some more. Nah,
yeah,
you was
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. And then now, and look how like the things
How it
change. Bill
turned
Collector's
out.
been sitting out, and I'm over here, you know.
That's so funny. I want to talk about you on Chrome 23. A lot of times, as a fan, everybody has their favorites, but whenever I discuss you and people be asking me, okay, who's A Ward? What's a battle I can watch? I a lot of times will recommend A Ward versus Viixen.
Hmm.
That performance, brother, was immaculate. I don't know what were you drinking Hennessy before the battle? Like what happened? Like
it
what put you in that zone?
was
Like
the pure white Hennessy. It was the pure
let's
white Hennessy.
go.
I had a
Let's go.
China. Man, I don't like people playing with my name. And that Big K battle was the first time I really felt like, um, for the most part, like I always felt like if I had a debatable battle or if somebody thought that I lost, the culture was still like, yo, Ward's kicking, like he's cooking, he did whatever, you got him losing, whatever, boom, 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 but Ward's going crazy. After the Big K battle, I felt like the tables were kind of turning on me because there was a lot of people out there that I didn't really know wanted to see me lose that bad. And they started to make it very known, and they started to jump out here. Oh, he got smoked. Oh, he ain't that. He ain't this. Y'all think he'll do good over here? Boom, boom. Like a lot of battlers. When I'm like, yo, are you serious right now? Like
Damn.
I just lost to the best Big K we've seen in half a decade. You know what I mean? And
Facts.
y'all acting like I went in there and choked or got my soul sent to whatever. Like, and I rapped very well in that battle. I just ran into somebody who was over prepared and had their greatest performance ever, which happens.
Facts.
Um, and so I thought people were playing my name. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going into this Viixen battle. I think it was about 3 weeks later, maybe a month later,
Hmm.
and I'm like, luckily I have a high profile battle booked to where I can make people forget about it for a minute. They're not gonna forget about it completely because it's me. And I don't lose a whole lot, but I'm gonna make them forget about it for a minute. And so I'm going into the Viixen battle. I'm locking in. I remember one night I woke up about 5 a.m. and I think I wrote like every haymaker in that battle from like 5 a.m. to like 6 a.m.
Damn.
And it was wild. Like the OJ, the slow down, um uh the half two, the Black History Month. Like there's so many lines in those first 2 rounds that I wrote. Like literally, I didn't even write them. I don't write my rounds down. Like I write punchlines and then I'll go find out what round to put them in. But I think I wrote like 6 or 8 of them in like 1 hour span, like from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m.
The Crown Vic bar
And I was
too?
the Crown Vic bar. Yeah, the idea for it, I didn't have it completely constructed, and so then we go to the face off. And no, it wasn't the face off. It was a hip hop is real or a 15 minutes of fame interview that Viixen did, where she said something to the extent of like, outperform and out rap me. Oh, that's the easy part. Like she was like, I easily rap and perform better than Ward. And I was like, oh really? Oh really? Oh, is this serious? Like, are we serious right now? And so when I went into the face off, I kind of baited her a little bit, and I was like, like all that yelling. And all that screaming that you be doing and aggression, that's not performing. That just because you yell, just because you loud and aggressive, that's not performing. And I was like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna show you. And so I knew I had the Crown Vic bar. And I'm just like, yo, this is how you perform. I ain't have to raise my voice not once. This is how you control the crowd. And so going into that battle, I knew the after my ill will battle, I really felt like there was nothing left to prove to battle rap. You know what I mean? I done performed and done
Facts.
it all because I live under this microscope of he still hadn't done it over here on URL or he can't boom boom.
Facts.
And after the ill will battle, I'm like, I done performed in front of 2,500 people against the most dangerous, probably on stage, charismatic, talented battle rapper in the world at the time. Going into the Viixen battle, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I hadn't done that in New York yet. The mecca of battle rap. You haven't
Facts.
done that in New York yet. Rock the New York stage, and I'm like, all
You
right,
rock
cool.
that. You rock that
Watch,
for sure.
yeah, watch this. And I
Let's
didn't even go in. I didn't even go into it. I had the Verb diss, but I didn't go into it thinking like, oh, Verb was gonna be in the crowd. I'm a diss Verb, and it's gonna create all of that. But it did.
hmm
Um, but yeah, man, it was an incredible battle, incredible performance. The professionalism of the league, Remy, and everything. Definitely, I'm with you. Like, if somebody wants to watch me battle, like there's like two or three battles I send them, and definitely Viixen is a part of that.
Same, brother. Good man. Salute to you. That's history right there. I
Hmm.
want to delve into the honorable mention. We're not gonna get into it, but I do want to say honorable mention is A Ward and Loso versus B Dot and Geechi. I love that
Hmm.
2-on-2 from y'all. I think that's a highly underrated battle, in my opinion. Like, if we talking 2-on-2s, that need to be spoken about for sure. Is there a chance that we could see you and Saga or you and Oops as a 2-on-2 team?
Well, me and Saga did a one rounder early last year against Jagga, Josh, and Gunna, two guys in New York. That was a good time. It was a fun battle. But yeah, definitely I'm open to Oops, me and Sagas, me and Street Hymns. I'm even open to with the Drosy gang, doing one with Real Deal or Chilla. I wouldn't do one with
Fire.
Marvin. I don't keep Marvin Quest. They're the best when they're together. So, but Real Deal and Chilla, that'd be
You
fire
and
too.
Real Deal would be so fire. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fire. All right. So I want to get into what I like to call the lyrical miracle moments. These
Okay.
three battles to me really tested your fucking pen. And correct me if I'm wrong and tell me what you remember from these three battles. A Ward versus Illmac, A Ward versus Real Sikh, and A Ward versus Danny Myers. What do you remember from those battles?
Yeah, I'm a competitor. I always want to compete. I never, very rarely does anybody ever send me a name or a contract and I say, I don't want to battle that person or I don't want to battle them there or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't send like names back. I just try to find ways to, compete at whatever level I can. Going into the Ilmac battle, I mean, I know what Ilmac is going to do. Ilmac is incredible at writing. He's incredible at just, character assassination, breaking down your entire career and, saying it a certain way. And so I can't worry too much about what Ilmac is going to do in that battle. And I have to just be the best ward I can be. So, as far as, testing the pen, I didn't want to go in there and try to like play the Ilmac game and be extra lyrical and super like, I don't know, just like trying to rap like him or be a better version of him. Um, Originally we was doing a shorter rounds, and then he asked for longer rounds. And I knew as well, like, man, I'm battling Ilmac in the Bay Area. I know he's from Portland, but we know like Ilmac made his name in the
That's
Gulf
second home
area
right there.
out there.
Yep.
I mean, I'm battling him in the Bay Area. I'm battling him longer rounds, which normally on King of the Dot rounds are normally 2 minutes to 2:30.
Facts.
Now we're doing 3:30, and I'm just kind of like, yo, you really got to go in here and put on. So I thought I wrote my first two rounds really, really well, and I thought my third round angle about his drinking problems or whatever was something that would hit. But that's the one thing I learned against Ilmac is like when you got an angle against somebody, a lot of times you can't use that angle the whole entire round if you're battling them in their place. You know what I mean? Because people are
hmm
already wanting that. They want to see them win. So sometimes you got to just angle punch and move on.
Real
But I
shit.
really thought that the third round angle about the drinking, and then he was drinking water at the time, and he literally says in the round, he was like, "I'm sober now," and I'm like, "Wow, I don't think you realize that's not a diss to my angle. That's literally
Just
that
helping
literally
you.
enhances the angle that you have to say I'm sober now. You know what I mean?
Nah, that's funny.
And so, but yeah, he went crazy, man. And sometimes you run into guys. I can't I can't say right now I have anybody in my mind personally that like I want to just go destroy. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have
Mhm.
another grudge match right now where I'm like, yo, if I get a hold of that battler, I want to like wipe him off the face of the planet. And I feel like that when I battled Illmac and when I battled Big K, that's how they viewed me. You know, like
Facts.
that's how they looked at me, like as a battler, and it shows in their material. And so, that's what I tell leagues. I was like, hey, listen, not only when you pay me are you going to get your money's worth, but when you pay me, you're going to get your money's worth from the opposing battler as
A
well,
thousand
because they don't
percent.
they don't come in here and just give a half effort against me.
Facts. You remember your real sick battle?
Heck yeah, I remember the real sick battle,
Tell me
man.
what you tell me what you remember.
I remember agreeing to 2 minute rounds, and I
That's
remember,
crazy.
um, yep, that's just. I remember, I battled um, Charlie Clips. Right? No, no, no. I battled Aye Verb on September 2nd. I battled Charlie Clips on September 16th, and then I battled Real Sikh on September 30th. So you're talking three different main stage leagues, three different main stage opponents, all in the same month. Um, and
Crazy.
so, going into the Real Sikh battle, I originally took the battle when I would have had a month to prepare. But the Chrome event with Charlie Clips got pushed back. It was supposed to happen in August, and it
Okay.
got pushed back, and the only date they could do was September 16th. So now, they've already sent me my deposit. I'm already, contracted out for Clips. And now I'm like, dang, I got this grudge match with Verb that, most of my attention is on. And then I got to turn around and write 2 rounds or 3 rounds for Clips. And then I got to turn around and write 3 rounds for Real Sikh. Um, at the time, I had spoke to Real Sikh on the phone because I sparred with him my rounds for some of my material for Aye Verb because I wasn't done right yet, and I heard his Dizaster material. We chopped it up, and I'm like, yo, we're gonna have a good one. Um, Going into the battle, man, I'm excited because it's blackout, and I'm like, yo, I think that when the Rolodex hits and they realize who's battling, this is gonna be one the fans are excited for. It's day one, you know what I mean? Like, and I was excited to see it. And so during the battle, just the writing process for him. Once again, he's another very rapidy, like there's a reason why people always say like, yo, I don't want to say better because he's very effective on URL, but Real Sikh style is like a King of the Dot esque style, or
This is true.
it would work very good there. You know what I
This is
mean?
true. This is true.
Um, and he goes into the battle, and I knew he was going to have great material. I didn't know it was going to be that long, and
About 45-minute rounds.
yeah, I did not know it was going to be that long. It sucks because as a battler and as a competitor, you don't want to sound like you're making excuses. But at the end of the day, when it's your third battle in that month or whatever, and you're paid for a certain amount of time and you're writing a certain amount of material, it is what it is. You can't call time on somebody that's cooking because you look crazy,
Yeah, it's a
but you
fact.
also, and I also am a fan of the penmanship. Like I want to hear it, but at the same time, when I get off the stage and now everybody's talking about champion of the year rankings, or you did this, or oh, he got smoked by that, or you have to see tweets every day. Oh, but he got 30 or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, like
Yeah.
you gotta decide what you want to do. But he was incredible. I think it was the battle of the weekend, if not Jay that Nightwing and Madflex.
Nah,
Jay
that
that
was
Nightwing,
definitely it was y'all and Jay
Jay
for
that
sure.
night.
That was yep. Yep.
Um, and I definitely think that I mean, if you have that battle, like really kind of saved day one. I would say day one
Facts.
was like was cool.
Hmm.
But with me and Real Sikh, it made day one like great. Like people went
I
away like
agree.
saying like, man, that was worth the price of admission.
A thousand
Um,
percent. That battle
and
alone. Facts.
yep, and so he was just another man. Talk about like the different styles of battle rappers in that month with Verb, and then Clips, and then Real Sikh. Like that's just three totally
Crazy.
different styles.
Completely dynamic. Like, but
Yep.
speaking of honorable mention that I had for lyrical miracle battles is you and Madflex. That was another crazy one.
Hmm.
You remember your Madflex battle?
Definitely in the Bay Area. I wore my Patrick Mahomes jersey in
Let's
Oakland.
go.
Petty Ward was activated. Um, that's why whenever Ilmac called me a panda bear, I was like, that's not true. I just wore the Chiefs jersey to to the Oakland. Like that's the opposite of
Right.
pandering. You know what I
Right.
mean? But Madflex was at the time. Um, Madflex is. I mean, he's so talented, man. And when you're battling guys, I'm blessed, to get recognition and to be considered on a certain level and to be put in like the lists and the names of like some of the greats over the last, 6 or 7 years. And Matt Flex is just as good as me, you know what I mean? And he at the time is not getting that kind of recognition, and it's a tough battle because it's like, man, this guy is somebody who, can get you up out of here. But at the same time, when the announcement's made, most of the coaches like Ward probably should win that. That's
Facts.
a tough bout. And
Facts.
so yeah, Matt Flex goes in there, man. He cooks, man. He does his thing. The one advantage I thought I had on him was like it being on the stage. And that's a lot of times you don't. A lot of times you ask leagues like, "Hey, is it on stage or is it pit style?" And they'll tell you one, and then you get there, and then
It's a whole
Avocado's like,
different ball game.
I just wanted to do the pit style. I was supposed to be battling Real Sikh on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I get there and we're doing pit style, and I'm like, okay, I'm effective in both, but you might have written some stuff, or you might have
For the big stage.
performed
Yeah.
performed things, with a big stage mentality,
Uh,
so I felt like my edge for the Madflex battle was the big stage and to be on stage. I thought maybe that's where I could get him. Um, and yeah,
no, that's
very,
real.
very, very good battle. Very, very good battle.
Facts.
Um, First time I ever wore clean Jordans in a battle, I think.
Come on, Ward. Ward,
Yeah,
speaking of
just
being clean, I met you
yeah,
in person. First of all, mega matches. That's what we're going to get into now. As far as mega matches go, bro, I don't think there's anyone that consistently shows up under tremendous pressure and shows up and does what they're supposed to fucking do. I
yeah,
met you at Geechi versus A War 2. We were in the middle of Compton. You were very comfortable, first of all. Very
yeah,
comfortable. First thing I told the homies, I was like, hey, this man has definitely been around the hood before. He's very
yeah,
comfortable. So it was great meeting you, but you really, I remember in the building, we had one take on the battle. And as soon as we left the venue, it was the whole total opposite online. You know what I mean? And that's when I learned the difference between in the building and on cam playback. Um, Mega matches, you versus Geechi Gotti 2. In the first one, we know you beat him clear. What was that experience like in the middle of Compton in the rematch?
yeah, man. Like I said, I might even be naive to the point to where I just feel comfortable everywhere. I don't. I mean, I remember I went and battled. I think it was Black Aladdin in Milwaukee, and I just drove up there, and like we kind of in the hood, in an abandoned strip club building. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, was walking around. I'm outside getting a hot dog from like the little food stand over here. Somebody just selling out a cooler and stuff. People just looking at me crazy, like. And I'm just like, I don't ever not feel comfortable just because like I've grown up in a lot of different types of areas. A lot of I've been uh
You
I
lived in the
grew up
hood
in.
before, Ward. Talk to me.
Yes, yeah, most definitely,
Let's
most
just keep
definitely.
it tall. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
most definitely. But I also like, I mean, man, I could talk to somebody, I could talk to an old man about his 401k. I could talk to somebody about NASCAR. I could talk to somebody about hip hop. Like
Let's
I have
go.
I kind of can build with just about anybody. I
Real
never feel
talk.
like uncomfortable in a conversation, whatever the conversation's about. Maybe politics. Maybe that's one thing that I probably don't, know a whole lot of. Anyway, I say that to
Facts.
say like, yeah, when I'm there, like one, at the end of the day, you got to know that people have paid to see you. So like for the most part, like even if you're like the bad guy and somebody else is like the favorite or whatever, like y'all all paid to see this battle. You know what I mean? You paid to see me. You paid to see Geechi. You know, and yeah, it was just, man, I was so comfortable with my material. And going into the second battle, and I tell you all the time, I'm like, yo, you never whoop somebody one time, and then the next time you saw them, thought like, I can't whoop you again. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Whether it's a fight, whether it's one-on-one basketball, whatever it is, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not going into this like it don't matter if the locations changed. It's like, yo, I feel like I already put hands on you once. Like, if you want to try again, by all means. But in the building, when I first left, I'm like, man, I think everybody's pretty much gonna have him having this battle like two
A
to
hundred.
one,
A
maybe.
hundred.
You know? And I'm in the middle of doing an interview outside, and I put my Twitter up, and it's just all kinds of people on cam. War got that, War got that, War got that. The
Everybody on
poll,
my
the
timeline was saying Ward
yeah,
2-1 clear.
And you can kind of be in your head with crowd reaction and stuff. I knew that I did great, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's a debatable, but I feel like they probably gonna have Geechi edging it because maybe they want to see a third. So it's cool if they edge Geechi. But then when I got out, started looking at Twitter, started looking at the polls and stuff like that. I'm like, yo. And then I go back and what I write, I always think is the best for the most part, unless we're battling Rum Nitty, and then I think he's the best. But but like, when I go back and I watch it and stuff, I'm like, y'all, I won this battle too. You know what I mean? I really feel like I won this battle too. And so, yeah, definitely difficult sometimes to kind of like block out all the crowd reaction and all of the different things.
Now you was in there with
And
like 60 clips, so I
yeah,
understand. But it was it
yeah.
was it was a great battle, and it made me an even bigger fan of yours. Now I want to talk about a battle that I wasn't there for. You versus Rum Nitty. You remember that mega match?
Oh yeah, man, I remember that. 3 days before. Hey Ward, we battling at a strip club. Oh really? Oh cool. Appreciate you guys.
Tell us what you remember.
I remember like two of my pastor friends, the guy that runs the poetry tour that I'm on. We did a poetry tour, 27 cities last year. He messages me. He's like, hey, bro, just let you know, man. Like, I ain't gonna be able to go. I was like, hey, bro,
The
hey, man,
church
you
wasn't
good?
gonna pull up and
Yeah,
support.
this is some people, man. I mean, you don't never know what somebody's lifestyle is. Somebody
Nah,
might
that's
have
true.
accountability group. They all got their locations. Everybody got their locations. They gonna look up, and be like, hey, yo, Pastor
Why you in
Daniels is
Magic City?
yeah. Why he at KOD right now? Oh, I bet it was a battle rap event. Yeah, tell me more about this battle rap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
Oh.
going into the Nitty battle, he's another guy that can just get you smooth up out of here. You know what I mean? And that's a battle that you just got to be locked in, man. You got to be locked in. And people say like, "Yo, Ward, you're locked in for all battles," and I try to be. But for the most part, battles, you wouldn't even believe that battles like Real Sikh or the second Geechi Gotti, the third round I wrote on the plane, or the Real Sikh battle I'm writing, the morning of. I'm writing some of the bars in the first round the morning of. You know, um, I think being locked in is also being honest with yourself and being in tune with what's good material. Some people go in there and they just write the first thing that comes to their mind and they don't never cut it out. But being locked in is just kind of being in tune with how you're what you can do. But that Nitty battle is like a battle where it's like, bro, there's no room for error. There's no room for filler. There's no room for any of that. And not only that, like his punchlines are gonna be better than yours. He's a better puncher than yours. Make sure that your rebuttals, make sure that what you do better than everybody else, outside of being versatile and attacking and angles and stuff like that. Make sure those things shine as well. So I wanted to be so locked in that I could just listen to his rounds and I could try to come up with the rebuttals as well. And in that battle, you just see a war, man. You see, the first time I ever felt like at that moment I was like up against the ropes in a battle. Um,
Oh.
like after that first round, I'm just like, this is not beatable. It's the first time I ever thought about switching my rounds too. Some battlers like if you get like hit with like an insane round, you might be thinking in your head, all right, I can't beat this round, so let me find my weakest round or what I think my weakest round is, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that mug, right now, so that
Sheesh.
so that I can have my two stronger rounds for hopefully his weaker rounds. You know what I mean? If you're looking,
Right.
so there's strategy involved in that.
I
I
salute.
didn't switch my rounds, but I just was like, man, I was like, yo, I don't think that round's beatable. I'm looking at my little brother in the crowd behind me. I'm looking at my best friend, like eyes wide open as he's just hitting me with haymaker after haymaker. I'm looking at them like, help me, like help me,
Somebody
you know,
jump in.
yeah, but
Nah, but you did
that's
your
when I
thing,
said,
Ward. We not doing
man,
that. You did your
no, it's
fucking
it,
thing.
it, it was battle of the year for a reason because that's it's the best battle of that year. And it was a heavyweight fight, and
100%.
I come back, with a crazy first round. That he won it first. The second round he goes. It's not as good as first, but it's real good. Then I have the rebuttals, the instantaneous rebuttals. The game
Facts.
changer, ain't they? The boom, which is like boom, like oh, here we here now. Now it's 1-1 going into the third. So it's just a heavyweight fight,
It's a
man.
fight, man, and
Um,
it's a great battle to watch. A lot of replay value. I think you
yep,
did your fucking thing, man. I wanna
yep,
um, I wanna talk to you. But we've talked a lot about this one, off of Twitter and all that. But I want to ask you about this here. You versus Aye Verb. I don't think I've ever seen better battle promo in my life. Like the way that battle was built up, and a huge thing that happens in battle rap is they'll build the battle up and then the battle does not live up to the build up.
yeah.
This battle from promo to face off to the actual battle, impeccable. What was that experience like for you?
Um, what's the word for it? Humiliating? No, no, that's not the word for
Nah.
it. I let him carry the promo. I didn't really need to do much in that aspect, and I didn't want to get out of character because I felt like his promo was he was wilding. You know what I mean? I felt like a lot of times he was just going way past the line. He was being personal or whatever. And what can happen in battle rap is if you get two battlers that are going back and forth and things start to get messy and personal, then you find, you risk like, hey, are these guys gonna like squabble or is this battle gonna happen? Did we just do all this for nothing or whatever? So I kind of went, ghost a little bit, during social media time, just so that I didn't get out of character, say something crazy or whatever. And I just kept telling myself, like, all right, this is what Verb does. Like, he has to talk. He has to talk. Like, for people to want to watch him rap, like, he needs to promote it like this because he's not really been an elite version of himself as of late. You know what I mean? And I'm like, he has to do this route. So I just kind of let him carry it. I would come online, I retweet some stuff, throw some shots. Minute I say something, Spaces is up. 3 hours later, hey, Ward said what on Twitter? You know what I mean? So I was kind of like just fueling the fire a little bit, as I could. Um, but dog, when you wake up every day and it's 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and somebody's online talking to hundreds and thousands of people about you, it's kind of wild. It kind of weighs on
Nah,
you, whether it's like battle rap promo or not. You know.
that's a
So
fact.
it got to the point to where before the battle, I'm like, I really don't know is this personal or not because I don't know Verb like that. I got Verb's phone number in my phone. I don't talk to him like that. He's talking crazy about my mom's. He's like giving my address out online. He's doing different things like wilding or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, is this personal or is it all battle rap? I had a couple friends telling me, Ward, it's all battle rap. I had a couple friends telling me like, hey, you want me to pull up and knock him out? Like I'm like, nah, we ain't on that. Um, so it's funny because I wrote my material, I'm locked in, and I get into the car to go to the face off, and I'm with Street Hymns and my guy Chad Jones. Um, and we just listen to scripture. We just listen to scripture the whole ride to the face off. It's like a 30-minute ride. Like nobody talks. We just had the audio Bible on, and we just listen to scripture. And just kind of pray. It's like good. I don't want to be out of character. Lord, we go into this situation, humbly, we know what we're doing here, whatever. And then I get to the face off, and within like 7 seconds of the face off, we forehead to forehead, looking like we about to fight. And like Chad is straight up looking at me like, bruh, I thought we just was, had a whole, prayer and everything. And now you in here, but it just calms you down, like this is people just look at battle rap like, oh, it's another battle, man. This is a very vulnerable, very difficult, very high pressure sport, you know.
100%.
When you're preparing and you're doing all these things, man, like one wrong slip, one wrong this, that, a third, like you could be scrutinized or your stock and everything can go down with one battle, and you just want to kind of be in the moment and enjoy it, but you also, want to protect who you are, don't get out of character, and don't let somebody control how you move. And so, yeah, that face off was crazy. And it was after the face off, I looked over and was like, yo, Verb, as he was leaving. And I was like, do work tomorrow. And he kind of smiled and he was like, you too. And I think that's kind of when he broke that third wall. And I was like, all right, I don't think
It's
this is
mutual
very,
respect. Yeah.
I was like, he might have some personal like feelings about me or how I rap or whatever, but I don't think it's as crazy as, as what it led on to be.
That's fire that y'all were able to keep it rap. Y'all gave us one of the best battles of the year.
Hmm.
Just timeless, best promo, best face off, just an incredible event for battle rap. And salute to ARP too. That whole car was incredible. The Blue Room, incredible concept. But Ward, thank you for that. That battle, it's as a fan of Verb and as a fan of A Ward, to me, that's a Midwest classic right there. So salute to both of y'all for that one. Um, I want to switch gears and I want to ask you a question. RIP to Pat Stay. How did Pat Stay inspire you?
Wow, man. That guy, he inspired me from the advice that he gave me, from the support that he gave, just like up and coming battle rappers. But man, that dude inspired me so much just from an off the field standpoint. In football, you got like the Walter Payton Man of the Year type stuff, where you just, your favorite players, you kind of get a glimpse into their life or whatever. And when you watch Pat Stay and you watch, him from way back in the King of the Dot days and everything like that, like the way he was like just turning his whole, I would say around, because I don't know that he was like necessarily, but the way he was like growing up and maturing before your eyes as a father, as a in a relationship with his significant other, how he treated her, like his son, how he treated battle rap and everything like that. You can kind of just see people that are in that same field as you growing and maturing and just being great people. Like he kind of inspired me a lot from an off the field standpoint. And then, I won't say my style is like Pat Stay, but Pat Stay and Ill Will are like the two guys that I look at and I'm like, man, they could beat you any way. And that's the kind of battler I always want to be. I don't want to be somebody that's like, yo, he's the punchline king or he's the angle god or whatever. Like you gotta know what you're gonna get. I want to be the guy that can go in there and make the whole crowd die laughing, or can say something so smooth, or can, perform, or can punch, or can switch up, just tone and everything. I mean, he's literally like the most versatile battle rapper, him and Ill Will to me, like on the planet. And Hollow was the same, and he's why he's one of my favorites. And I'm like, these are the guys, that I really kind of like look at and say, yo, like I want to be able to attack from all of those different areas as well. But yeah, man, just the time he hosted that battle against Franchise, on World Dom when I did my
Facts.
tryout, and
Facts.
man, he would inbox me all the time. He brought me on live. We did a lot of stuff. When he was going through the things with his mother in passing, we had dialogue and we were praying for the Horsemen and everything. He's reaching out. We just kind of like just building from a life standpoint. Um, and then I just still remember to this day, like Verb kind of made it a thing, but way before that, I would always say like Pat Stay inboxed me one day and he was like, yo, you laugh like a hyena. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you laugh like a hyena. He was like, if I ever battle you, he was like, I'll make a montage of all of the times that you laugh like a hyena, and do a promo video of it. And I just thought it was so funny. And I'm just like, that's such a Pat Stay thing, to take the one thing that nobody really thinks of or whatever, and then you make it hilarious and pick you apart for it.
That's so
And
funny,
so when
man.
Verb was doing his promo and making fun of my laugh, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that finally somebody, is like attacking the fact that I have I guess a very particular type of laugh. But yeah, when Pat Stay inboxed me that and told me that, man, it had me dying laughing. But yeah, man, I just remember, bro, I would be, we would do like Instagram live, like I'll do like Instagram live Bible studies or different things during the pandemic. Churches would reach out because they weren't like kind of having services together. So they would reach out and like the church would reach out and we would go Instagram live and I would, rap or speak or do a devotional for a church. And when you're Instagram live, like all your followers know you're live. And so then people be in there like, amen, amen. And I would just see Pat Stay in there posting the eggplant emoji. I'm like, bro, I'm in church like right now. Man, he would jump on there and he would just say something so off the wall and so crazy,
Yo,
like
that's
so Pat
so
Stay.
funny.
And
Man,
bro, he
God
just
bless,
always,
man.
man, he always made you smile, bro. And then when you saw him, like he always had time. He always had time to chop it up, man. And just yeah, rest in
That's
peace, man.
fire.
That was
Rest in
that
peace,
was a
Pat Stay, man.
that was a roller coaster of emotions, man. I battled Rum Nitty the night before. I'm coming off what I think is like one of my greatest battles of all time. Adrenaline and everything. I'm on an airplane the next morning at 6 a.m. And my little brother's beside me and he wakes me up and he's just like, yo, like Pat Stay passed away. I'm like, is this a dream? You know what I mean? Like this isn't real. And I just remember
Yeah,
like, I just had this Rum Nitty battle that I'm like high on life with battle rap. And then you just realize that, battle rap is fun, but real life can hit you 6 hours later.
one
And
thousand percent.
yeah, I just remember crying like that whole plane ride, man. And just, just for his family, just for the culture and just the relationships that he built, man. And so yeah, I'll always, man, I always have a special place in my heart for that dude.
God bless him, and I know he watching
Hmm.
over you, man. He proud of you and everything you doing. You know what I'm saying? God bless Pat Stay and God bless his
Hmm.
family. I want to talk to you about female battle rappers. You battled Vixen, you battled K Profit, you battled QB Black Diamond. Can we ever see A Ward versus Jazz, Hustle, or Gattas?
Riot reached out for the Jazz battle, and we were. I don't know that we were supposed to lock it in, but they asked if it was an option. Of course, I said yes. That was I think that was last year. And so I'm definitely down for that battle. Um, Gaddis and who else? Hustle. Like I said,
Yeah.
very rarely does a name pass my desk where I'm just kind of like, um, like no, I won't battle that person or whatever.
Hmm.
I try not to have like the same types of battles over and over. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Okay.
like I wouldn't want to get into it. I don't think I would battle like a female and then battle another female the next month and then another female the next month. So I would space it
Hmm.
out. But yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to any of those. And then
Okay.
of course I also accepted Misfit was the original opponent for the Vixen
Mm.
battle, but
Fire.
then she decided not to.
That would have been crazy.
Um,
Salute to Misfit.
yeah. And then obviously thanks to you and thanks to we the fans, we have the Bonnie battle coming up, which
Let's
would be
go.
a
Let's
really, really dope
go.
battle. Getting back
YTG
on
on YTG crown. I'm
yeah,
kind of mad at
yeah.
Cortez for his fake angle about you leaving YTG. I was watching
I
that and
know.
Ness Lee was standing right behind him. I was kind of
I
mad at that,
know.
but it
I
is what it
know. It's
is.
like it is. It's like I left YTG. Oh, that's the
It's
you got
life,
me.
man.
Yeah.
It's life. But not. All right, legacy. Let's talk legacy. Oh, before I get into legacy battles, Rone, Shine, or Daylyt? Will we ever get one of those battles from you?
Man, I signed a contract to battle Daylyt last year too. I don't know if it ever would have went down
What?
because it was one of those leagues that just kind of pops up out of nowhere with a big bag, and everybody, all the battle rappers are just kind of like, oh, I need to get on this, because but it was like a brand new like investor or whatever. It wasn't the King Bow stuff or whatever, but it was somebody else. But man, I signed the contract, huge bag. Daylyt signed the contract. It's supposed to happen or whatever. And then, of course, like most times when somebody investor or somebody comes out here with a big bag, like something falls through, something doesn't happen.
Yeah, those fucking sponsors, man. Terrible
Yeah,
people.
Charron was on the
Terrible.
card, Marv was on the card. Like a lot of people got deposits too, and never the thing never even dropped a flyer or nothing. So
Man.
I say that to say, look, I don't know. At the time, I said, yeah, I'm signing the contract. Give me my deposit because more than likely, Daylight's gonna pull a Daylyt, and I'm just gonna get paid to, just agree to it.
Nah, chill. What
So I
about
don't
Rone and
know.
Sean? What about Rone and Sean?
Yeah, Rone. I would love that battle. I would love that battle. I know he's the kind of guy. He's a tactician. He's strategic. Right now he's got. I mean, he already had so much going for him before the Charron battle, and now he's got the Pat Beth podcast. He's got all kinds of stuff going on for him. I don't know how much time he has to actually do a battle like that.
He got to come
Um,
outside, and it got to be on King of the Dot. He got to come outside.
yeah,
I ain't gonna lie.
yeah. But that would be another very difficult battle that I would love to have, just to see, how I stack up against his angles and his wittiness and just the different ways he approaches it. Because I think he would
Facts.
approach his battle with me just much different than everybody else has.
100%.
And then
Legacy
Shine,
battles. Oh, go ahead,
Shine,
Sean. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm ready for Shine right now. I mean, I'm ready. I don't know what his situation is, and I would never speak on somebody's, situation with contracts and all that kind of stuff or whatever. I don't know where he's allowed to go. I assume that he'll tell you he can go wherever he wants, and that's fine. Um, but his first battle back is going to be a big battle, and a lot of times, man, I don't know what it is. These guys don't want their first battle back to be me. New Jersey Squirt didn't want his first battle back to be me. Shine, he kind of made it seem like I was a little bit beneath him when we kind of went back and forth on Twitter. Um, but whatever he decides to do when he comes back, I'm ready for the K Shine smoke, and that's just and I want it on the stage, man. I want the best version of Shine.
Okay, K. Sean versus A-Ward. All right, legacy battles. My final lap here. Dizaster, Hollow, Loaded Lux. What are we talking about? Oh, and Shotty Horror. What we doing?
Hmm. Yeah, Hollow's made it known that he would take the battle, and that's a battle that I would love to have. That's kind of like the next, um, excuse me, that's the next RBE joint that I would love to have. Dizaster. I had talks actually just recently about battling Dizaster. I thought it was going to get locked in. I don't know if you've seen the flyer, but GTX is working with somebody in Texas, and they're doing an event in Texas at the end of February. Um, Street Hymns is on the event, and originally They asked for me and Dizaster to headline it. I
Oh
accepted or
my
whatever.
God. Please, let's get that.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, I definitely accepted the battle, and they you know, they were good with the bag that I wanted and everything. But then some things just fell through, and they decided to do like a smaller, more budgetable event or whatever. So that's definitely something there.
Okay.
Shotty Horroh, like I said, it's tough when you got guys that don't battle a lot, because when they come back once or twice a year, you might be like fifth on the list of who they want to battle. So you might be waiting a couple years. You know what I mean? Um, and so Shotty Horroh, like one, I want to get back over to Premiere. I want to get back over to Manchester or London and perform because last two times I was supposed to perform over there, it didn't happen with the Shocks battle, with Shocks not showing up, and then the 2-on-2 with Loso with us having to reschedule that. Um, but yeah, he's definitely an opponent that I would love to face. And so yeah, Dizaster, Hollow, Shotty. Is that the three that you said, or was there another one?
Yes, sir. No, that's fine. Oh, one that I would love to get involved with and see happen is you versus Yunus. How you feel about that? You battled Appa for me. Thank you very much. But what's up with you and Yunus?
Yeah, man, that's a battle that I definitely would enjoy. Like I said, I don't know people's situations. I know he's one of the new guys over there, so I don't know if he's under contract. I don't know what he can do off of URL. If he's able to do 3-round battles. I've ran into just because in the past I've ran into a lot of situations where I'm trying to battle guys for 3 rounds that are maybe signed to a contract or have some kind of situation with URL, and it's not available to happen. So what I don't like doing is trying to big up something or trying to lock into something that can inevitably be just pulled out from under, you know?
Nah, I respect that.
So he's a super talented guy. Obviously I'm familiar with him. Him and Appa both super, super talented. And obviously I don't duck smoke from no up and comers. And you know what I mean? Like, you're not ever going to see Ward say, like, I'm not taking him because I can't go battle Joe Schmo in Iowa and then give you a reason as to why I wouldn't battle, Eunice.
Nah,
Um,
that's
but
real. That's
I'll
real.
tell you this much though. I'm not battling him in that what is that place called? The Martini Corner or what's the spot?
Shout out to
I'm not.
Martinis, man.
Yeah, I'm not bad. I might be a little more strategic this year. I'm tired of battling Frack in the Bay and
Nah, you
battling
be going
Eunice in
OT.
a
Nah, you be in people's homes. Nah, I respect it. They got to come to
yeah.
you now.
Yeah, I even went to Atlanta to battle Verb, and somehow it was still St. Louis when I got there. I was like,
Nah,
"Yo,
it
what
was.
the hell?"
Nah, listen. Nah, you right. Nah, we need to see that in KC anyway. So salute to you. 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, what is A Ward's legacy?
Man, I just hope to just considered. I hope to be considered, one of the best battle rappers of all time. I hope to be considered, the best rebuttaler of all time. I hope to be considered, consistent. I hope to have built a professional, relationship with every league that I stood on to the point to where you can't ask somebody a question and say, "Yo, should we book a ward?" and they say no. You know what I mean? Um, and I hope to have built, just lifelong friends and friendships and relationships with people that point me in the direction of being a better man, a better person. Um, and I really just hope to have stewarded my gift that God gave me to the best of my ability. That's one of the reasons why you see me perform at a high level is because I firmly believe that God gave me a gift, and I don't want to prostitute that gift out, and I don't want to take that gift for granted. I want to steward it to the best of my ability to the point where I say, "Yo, God, you gave me this, and this is what I did with it." You know what I mean? I did it at the highest of high levels all of the time. And Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, do heartily as unto God and not unto men. And a lot of times when we're doing things like, "Oh, I'm doing this for my brother," or "I'm doing this for my job," or whatever, I gotta go hard or whatever. And I'm like, man, if I look at everything like as if I'm doing it to please the Lord, like there's no excuse for me not to like take it so serious and to perform at such a high level. And so that's just really what I want to be remembered as. I think it's super dope that there was a BET writer that already had listed me as a top 50 battler of all time, just in a short time of what I've been able to accomplish. But when it is all said and done, I would love for my name to be mentioned up there at the tops with all of the rest of the guys.
Brother, you are a living legend. You are one of the best battlers of all time already. We support you. We love you. We respect you. I want to say personally, thank you for working with me. You know what I'm saying? It's my first year sponsoring live battles. You've already battled with Appa. You battled with Bonnie. Thank you for accepting those battles. And one of my big goals this year, I'm trying to retire at the end of this year. One of my big goals is to get you on URL. I'm hoping I can make that happen. I personally want to sponsor you versus Jack Boy Maine in a band setting. I'm going to see if I can make that happen, but we would love to have you on URL. I know niggas asked you that question a billion times, so we're going to skip past the URL talk. I want to say salute to Mama Love. I know Mama Ward always supporting everything, and we want to say that's
Definitely.
hip hop right there, and we love her for that, and we appreciate her. We appreciate you to the fullest. Thank you for this hour that you've given me. Keep It Rap, episode 9. A Ward the GOAT. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. We the fans, man. I rock with y'all, man. God is good. Love y'all.
God is you tried to escape the Loaded Lux question, Ward. I see what you
Oh,
did. I see what you did.
I didn't know there was a loaded question at the end.
You scared that question. All right, let's end it with that. You versus Lux. Blue room or on the roof? What we doing?
Oh wow. Yeah, we got to go to the roof. Yeah, we got to go to the roof
Let's
because
go.
because on the roof the loser has to jump and white men can't jump, so I
No.
win. Yep, that's why we got to go
LTBR,
to the
put
roof.
that in your blogs, man.
Yep,
Hey,
we got to
Boy,
Ward,
go
you
to
should
the
thank
have
roof.
you.
kept that. You should have kept that one, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
I might still use it. I might still use
Let's
it.
go. God bless you, Ward. We out of here, man.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.